Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment we are going to discuss all about objective questions to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of the last segment. Consider the following statements with respect to Geological Survey of India. It was set up in 1851 primarily to find coal deposits for the railways, and the main functions of the GSI relates to creation and update of national geoscientific information and mineral resource assessment. It is headquartered in Kolkata and is an attached office of the Ministry of Archaeology. We have to select the correct statement. The third statement is incorrect. Why? Because yes, it is headquartered at Kolkata, but it is not an attached office of Ministry of Archaeology. It is attached office of Ministry of Mines. Okay, so the third statement is incorrect. The first statement is correct, that it was established in 1851. That means it is a colonial era body, and it used to find coal deposits for the railways. And now its main function of the GSI, the main function of it is to create and update of national geoscientific information and mineral resource assessment. So the first and the second being correct, the third being incorrect. The correct answer to this question is option D, 1 and 2 only. Geological Survey of India, the 70-year-old premier geological institution, has decided to make itself accessible to the masses and make its presence felt digitally by launching the GSI mobile app beta version in the year 2020 and upgrading it periodically. Geological Survey of India, it was set up in 1851 primarily to find coal deposits for the railways, and we have also discussed the second statement. It is headquartered in Kolkata and has 6 regional offices located at Lucknow, Jaipur, Nagpur, Hyderabad, Shillong and Kolkata. Presently, GSI is an attached office to the Ministry of Mines. Moving on, consider the following statements. In view of Hampi, it is the world's largest open-air museum located in the Tungabhadra Basin in Kerala, founded by Harihara and Bukka in 1336. We have to select the correct statement. If we talk about Hampi, yes, it was founded by Harihara and Bukka in the year 1336, the Vijayanagar Empire, and it is the world's largest open air museum. This is also correct, but it is not located at the Tungabhadra Basin of Kerala, but Tungabhadra Basin of Karnataka. So the second is incorrect. The first and the third being correct. The correct answer to this question is option B. The Vice President of India along with his family members visited monuments at the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Hampi in Vijayanagar district. Classified as a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO in 1986, Hampi is also called the world's largest open-air museum. Hampi is located in the Tungabhadra Basin of Karnataka, and Hampi was founded by Harihara and Bukka in 1336. Moving on, consider the following statements. Afghanistan is the only country where the wild polio virus 1 is circulating. India received polio-free certification by the WHO in 2014. We have to select the correct statement. Now, since the evacuation has been taken place from Kabul, that is in Afghanistan, to India, India has been vaccinating the population that is coming in by oral vaccination, and this vaccination is for wild polio virus. Now, wild polio virus is circulating in the countries of Pakistan and Afghanistan. So, the first statement is incorrect. It should not be only here, okay? Pakistan and Afghanistan. And yes, India did receive polio-free certification by WHO in the year 2014. So, the correct answer to this question is option B. That is 2 only. Moving on. Recently, the Health Ministry decided to vaccinate returnees from Afghanistan with free polio vaccines as a preventive measure. Afghanistan and Pakistan are the only countries where the wild polio virus is circulating. India received polio-free certification by the WHO in 2014. Moving on, consider the following statements. World Sanskrit Day is celebrated on 22nd August annually. Sanskrit is the most computer-friendly language. Sanskrit is a classical and an 8th schedule language. We have to select the correct statement. Now, World Sanskrit Day is celebrated on Shravan Purnima, and this year Shravan Purnima fell on the 22nd of August. Okay, so the first statement is incorrect. There is not any date, but Shravan Purnima should be celebrated as one Sanskrit Day. And second and the third statements, these two are correct. So the correct answer to this question should be option C. Recently, the Prime Minister of India took to Twitter to mark the occasion of World Sanskrit Day. Sanskrit is an ancient Indian language and belongs to the Indo-European group of languages. It is celebrated on Shravan Purnima every year, and this year it fell on August 22nd. Sanskrit is the most computer-friendly language, also is a classical and an 8th schedule language. Moving on. With reference to the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan scheme, consider the following statements. It has the provisions for solar agriculture water pumps and solarization of existing grid-connected agriculture pumps. It can reduce DISCOM's burden of subsidy on agriculture consumption of electricity, and the nodal ministry for the scheme is Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. We have to select the correct statement. So, PM-KUSUM actually wants to have an initiative with respect to reaching out to the farmers and make them aware of the usage and benefit of solarization with the help of renewable energy. So the first statement is correct. And it can, if the energy comes from renewable sources, of course, then it can reduce the burden on DISCOMs of subsidy to the agriculture sector. But it doesn't come under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It comes under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So the third statement is incorrect. The first and the second being correct. The correct answer to this question is option A. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan has provision for the decentralized renewable energy plants, solar agriculture water pumps, and solarization of existing grid-connected agricultural pumps. As farmers will be less dependent on subsidized electricity, the PM-KUSUM scheme will support the financial health of the electricity distribution companies by reducing the burden of subsidy to the agriculture sector, and the scheme was launched by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Consider the following statements. Madurkathi mats are woven mainly by weavers of the Mahishya caste and predominantly by women. Indian Patent Office granted the Government of West Bengal a geographical indication tag for Madurkathi. We have to select the incorrect statement. Actually, both these statements are correct. So the correct answer to this question is option D, neither one nor two. Recently, two women from Sabang in West Bengal's Paschim Medinipur district have been given the National Handicraft Award in recognition of their outstanding contribution to the development of crafts. Madurkathi mats are woven mainly by the weavers of the Mahishya caste and predominantly by women. Indian Patent Office granted the Government of West Bengal a geographical indication tag for Madurkathi. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to micro, small and medium enterprise. Medium enterprises are those enterprises where investment is not more than 10 crore rupees and annual turnover is not more than 50 crore. Micro enterprises are those enterprises where investment is not more than rupees 1 crore and annual turnover is not more than rupees 10 crore. We have to select the incorrect statement. In the year 2020, there was a revision for the definition of MSMEs. So you must be very careful with that. If we talk about medium enterprises, then these are those enterprises where investment is not more than rupees 50 crore and annual turnover is not more than rupees 250 crore. So as you can see, it's not written there. So the first statement is incorrect. And micro enterprises are those enterprises where the investment in plants and machinery is not more than rupees 1 crore and annual turnover is not more than rupees 5 crore. So this is also incorrect. Both these statements are incorrect. The correct answer to this question should be option C, as both are incorrect. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Saturday, addressing the launch of the 𝐈𝐀𝐒 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐻 fund, said the micro, small and medium enterprises are the backbone of the economy and that the government has given the sector its rightful place. MSMEs, let's look at them. Investment for micro should not be more than rupees 1 crore and annual turnover not more than rupees 5 crore. For small, investment should not be more than rupees 10 crore and annual turnover should not be more than rupees 50 crore. Investment for medium enterprise should not be more than rupees 50 crore and annual turnover not more than rupees 250 crore. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to socio-economic caste census. Every census in independent India from 1951 to 2011 has published data on scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, but not on other castes. Before that, every census until 1931 had data on castes. So we have to select the correct statement. Census at a local scale, if we talk about pre-independence, was conducted in the year 1872 for the first time ever. And in the year 1881, a full-fledged census was conducted. So the first statement, every census in independent India from 1951 to 2011 did conduct census and publish data for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, but not the OBCs, or the backward castes. So the first statement is correct. And before that, every census until 1931 had published a data on caste. Okay. So both these statements are correct. We had to select the correct ones. The correct answer is option C, both 1 and 2. A delegation of 11 parties led by Bihar Chief Minister today met the Prime Minister in New Delhi over the issue of caste-based census. Every census in independent India from 1951 to 2011 has published data on SC and STs, but not on other castes. Before that, every census until 1931 had data on caste. However, in 1941, caste-based census data was collected but not published. In the absence of such census, there is no proper estimate for the population of OBCs, various groups within the OBCs and others. The Mandal Commission estimated the OBC population to be at 52%. Some other estimates have been based on National Sample Survey data. So one thing that we need to keep in mind is, if we have a published data from the government on OBCs, policy formulation and targeted reach would be improved, and that is why the census is the need of the hour. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements with regard to Malabar Exercise. It is an annual trilateral naval exercise between the navies of India, Japan and the USA, which is held alternatively in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. It began as a bilateral naval exercise between India and the USA in 1992 and was expanded to a trilateral format with the inclusion of Japan in 2015. It is a part of the formal grouping of the Quad group. We have to select the correct statement. Malabar Exercise has been conducting itself since the year 1992, okay, with USA and India at first, and in 2015 Japan was also added. Then yes, it's an annual trilateral exercise. Annually it has been conducted. Now Australia is also a part of it since 2020, and it happens alternatively in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. Although here it is written, it's a catch, you have to be very careful with this. It is a part of the formal grouping of Quad. Quad, that is the quadrilateral of India, Japan, Australia and the USA. Quad is a grouping, but it is not formal right now. It is an informal grouping. Okay. So this could be, if you would have marked it correct, then you would have lost this question. So this is incorrect, the first and the second being correct. The correct answer to this question is option A. 2 Indian Navy warships reached Guam on Sunday to participate in the Malabar Naval Exercise, in which all 4 members nation of the Quad, that is Quadrilateral Security Dialogue or Quad, India, Australia, Japan and the US have been participating since 2020. The exercise is scheduled to begin on August 26th. It is an annual. We have discussed these statements. Moving on. Yes, the exercise is aimed to support free and open plus inclusive Indo-Pacific and remain committed to a rules-based international order. Quad is the informal strategic dialogue between India, USA, Japan and Australia, with a shared objective to ensure the support for free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. So remember this thing, in 1992 it started with the grouping two nations in hand, USA and India. Then in 2015 Japan was also added, and since the year 2020 Australia is also added to this exercise of Malabar. Okay, moving on. Consider the following statements with respect to the measurement of earthquakes. The magnitude scale is also known as the Mercalli scale. The magnitude relates to the energy released during the earthquake, which is expressed in absolute numbers from 0 to 10, and the intensity scale is also known as the Richter scale, takes into account the visible damage caused by the event. The range of intensity lies from 1 to 12. And seismographs record a zigzag trace that shows the varying amplitude of ground oscillations beneath the instrument. We have to select the incorrect statement. Now, the magnitude scale is not known as the Mercalli scale, but Richter scale. So here it has been interchanged actually. Okay, this should be Richter and here it should be Mercalli. Okay, so these two become incorrect by themselves. Moving on, yes, seismographs do record a zigzag trace in this format. Seismographs, they record the different zigzag pattern and hence we can know about the earthquake, measurement of earthquake, and that shows the varying amplitude of the ground oscillations beneath the instrument. As we had to select the incorrect statement, 1 and 2 are incorrect. The correct answer should be option A. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh, Department of Science and Technology, said that 35 seismic observatories will be set up in India by the end of this year. He further said that in the next 5 years, 100 more such observatories would be built in the country by the central government. Seismic waves are the vibrations from earthquakes that travel through the earth and are recorded on instruments called seismographs. Seismographs record a zigzag trace that show the various amplitudes of ground oscillations beneath the instrument. The earthquake events are scaled either according to the magnitude or intensity of the shock. The magnitude scale is known as the Richter scale. The magnitude relates to the energy released during the earthquake, which is expressed in absolute numbers from 0 to 10. The intensity scale or Mercalli scale takes into account the visible damage caused by the event. The range of intensity lies from 1 to 12. Moving on, consider the following statements with regard to National Monetization Pipeline. It comprises a 4-year pipeline of the central government's brownfield infrastructure assets. National Monetization Pipeline will also serve as a medium-term roadmap for the asset monetization initiative of the government. We have to select the correct statement. Actually, both these statements are correct. National Monetization Pipeline is a 4-year pipeline of the central government's brownfield projects. Brownfield and greenfield, these two are different projects. So, brownfield projects are those projects which are being done on something that has already been established. That means, suppose I have built a home, and if I have to upgrade that home or demolish and build it again, then it is a brownfield project. Greenfield projects are those projects which have been zero. That means we start from the zero. That means nothing has been done before that. So that's the difference between the two. So keep in mind that it is for a brownfield project and not greenfield. This is correct. And it will also serve as a medium-term roadmap for the asset monetization initiative of the government. Moving on, we have to select the correct statement. Both these statements are correct. The correct answer is option C. Finance Minister will launch the National Monetization Pipeline in New Delhi today. It comprises a 4-year pipeline of the central government's brownfield infrastructure assets. Besides providing visibility to investors, NMP will also serve as medium-term roadmap for asset monetization initiative of the government. Moving on to the next question, that is the practice question. Consider the following statements. National Thermal Power Corporation Limited is a central public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Power. NTPC Limited became a Maharatna company in 2010. Only a PSU in India with a Navratna status can become a Maharatna company. We have to select the correct statement. So I hope you'll be answering it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.